โ stocks of merit and the stocks of wisdom. So if you have certain qualities that you can see yourself, you would have put a lot of years of discipline to acquire that, to learn about it, to study, to develop experience, not just theory, but also practice. When you have all of that, what they call experience. So a lot of people's merit is the experience. They say, even though you have theory, but if you have no experience, they say, oh, you have no experience, go, come on, we can't have you. But person who has theory, but also on top of that many years of experience, then he's got a lot of stock of experience. He's done that, he has been that done. So because of that, he has a lot of richness of experience. So when we're talking about that, merit refer to that thing that person actually is not very shallow, but very deep, like kindness, very deep, not just a kind of in good mood you practice kindness. Otherwise, you quickly react. And the people who have no merit is like that. They do a lot of good things, but they blow it away because they don't have any merit to keep it with some ability to endure it and hold it. So childish person don't have merit. They have goodness here and there, but they don't have anything like to support that. So those who have merit are able to be patient where they have to be patient, able to be generous where they have to be generous, but they don't waste their generosity and then react childishly. So those who have merit, they have this very strong stock that doesn't his quality gets better, his quality get better when things get tougher, Those who have no merit, their quality is only like a paint, It looks good out there, but when it's tested, it's just quickly. So don't have those who don't have merit. That's why in the practice we do a lot of accumulation merit, when you do a lot of like prostration. Prostration itself is not a kind of meritorious thing, but when you know why you're doing, it overcomes one's selfishness and arrogance and pride, and when one knows that, then the very mechanics of doing prostration, like paying homage or showing courtesy to others, makes oneself to overcome one's childishness. So the person has a merit of humility, One who has a merit of humility will not try to pick on other people's faults. Not that he doesn't notice, but he's got more his own to mind. So his stock is used for where it matters. He rather try to contain and dissolve his own faults rather than complaining about other people. I mean, if you try to find other people's faults, you would have not enough time to list all them. Time will be too short. Faults will be too much. If even you have reached the third Bhumi Bodhisattva, still have some faults, let alone ordinary people. The person who has merit do not go into that. They have their own humility. They have their own sort of sense of self-control, and they are not poking and probing into other people's faults. If they can correct the whole world with that, they should do that. We want to find out who can do that. But what they have done is that that person who has merit do not do that. They actually restrain that, and they instead develop their own humility and non-judgmental. So that's talking about stocks of merit. One who has the stocks of merit, not only he restrains his arrogance, practice humility, but will see goodness in others. But one who has no merit of humility doesn't see good in others. If he sees them either out of jealousy, he's competitive, or do not accept them for whatever reason, they become either competitive or overlook them, look down on them, or do not accept them. So the one who has a merit of humility will have his diligence. His diligence has cultivated the merit of such as humility, and such as contentment, such as a merit of contentment. A person who has practiced a lot of dharma and teachings, and they have a lot of contentment. One who has merit of contentment are not discontented and dissatisfied and frustrated with things and people. They're so unstable. The person who has merit is very stable. So therefore, that's talking about the stocks of merit. This is the first accumulation, yeah? And then, of course, the wisdom discerning emptiness. Of course, even you have merit, then to saying this is my merit type of thing, yeah, one has to hide one's merit. One has to hide one's qualities. That's the wisdom. One has to hide one's qualities, and admit one's frailty and weaknesses and mistakes. This is the merit. Usually, all practitioners have that kind of a culture of all saying, "I don't know anything. I don't know how to practice this. I don't know how to teach." And in these days, you can't do that. You wouldn't get a job. I don't know this. I'm really incompetent. I think years ago, I studied, but I forgot everything. You shouldn't ask me to teach. You shouldn't ask me to teach this unit in the university. If you say that, you'll lose the job. It's a completely different world. That's why these days we have lots of people so learned in things, but they're so arrogant. And that totally, the knowledge without humility is no merit. Knowledge with humility is a real merit. It will benefit people too. What I mean merit means some people learn things from somebody, it benefits them a lot. Other people learn a lot, but they're no benefit. So because if the one who has a lot of merit and wisdom and practice, their benefit outlast others. So the merit of the Buddha Dharma, for instance, when we say the precious gem of the Buddha, preciousness of the Buddha is because of his merit that he's accumulated 3 uncountable eons and then become Buddha. That's why we fold our hands. Not because the statue is well made or gold or because it's a good metal or whatever, And so we don't bow down to Buddha because of the material. And then Nagarjuna said in the letter to a friend, he says, this image made out of wood or clay, though is made out of ordinary materials, should still be revered as the replica of actual Buddha, because of because what it represents, not the material. So if one has this kind of humility, then we see quality in other people. Even someone points finger at you by mistake, you will still acknowledge if that appeases them. So therefore, no matter how diligent we are, the diligence has to go to acquire merit, and therefore necessarily the wisdom. So the effort joyous effort is very important because it is indispensable to both accumulate merit and wisdom. Say if you were to practice for 1 or 2 hours and then you don't feel like doing. As soon as your body gets aches, you don't want to do it. See, there's no merit. There's no endurance merit. There's no merit of endurance. There's no merit to suffer good suffering. It's valuable suffering when you're practicing some hardships. This is useful suffering. We shed sweat and tear for nothing many times. Many buckets of tears would have shed for nothing. But one is sweating and one is burning calories in early morning and late night and practicing your training and dharma. If you find yourself boosting your devotion and not losing your stamina, but almost like it gives you more joy and faith that you are actually doing something really what you believe in. See, that's the merit of letting yourself not get attached to my body so much. The merit of renouncing the attachment to the body, and merit of using the energy that while you have the ability to use this body as your vehicle, it's only a hired vehicle. So one who has a merit of seeing the body as not self and not me, then they can put the right effort. Why did the Milarepa or Shakyamuni Buddha, their whole young youthful body was able to expose in elements and practice until austerely and realize? Because they have the merit of endurance. They didn't do it just for them. They have merit of altruism, to think, I'm not doing for myself. I'm not just doing feel good now. I'm doing for the benefit of others. So when they had this merit, then the diligence comes, So diligence and merit goes hand in hand. He's the cause. So the cause of merit and wisdom is diligence. So even if one do all the other formal practices, generosity, discipline, patience, but if one, so quite a lot of people patient but very foul-faced. They don't look delighted to be patient. They feel almost miserable when they have to be patient, Almost they wanted to get over and done with it, and then they just don't want to do it again, See, diligence is that you things are very hard, but do it delightfully, in the hardships. Then that's what that becomes radiant. It's radiant. It's called radiant. Name of this radiant. It radiates joy. You do it with what they call willingly. When somebody does willingly, it's so grateful, so gracious, isn't it? What they call gracious. When somebody does it but so unwillingly, it's just you wish you don't have to ask the person to do it. They just were miserable to do it, So, but when somebody does it happily, it just gives you more joy from where they do it, but not what they did it. You see? It's the diligence is that which gives you a leg to walk. So this is the cause of these two. So that's the describing what the greatness of diligence. So I think every one of us can look within our own life and certain area where we've been diligent, and you are actually reaping the benefit of it now. Because those who have not been diligent, then they can see, I wish I was diligent those years, then I don't have to do this and do that. Even at a mundane level. Now, the second is identifying the second Bhumi, fourth Bhumi through this joyous effort, which is superior effort. Since it blazes with the light of diligence, this ground, which is the Bhumi, which is the fourth, because the first three is gone, is known as radiant, because where the practitioner practices this gives amazing delight. The word delight is almost like becoming light, You're delightful. That's a delightful. Means it's radiant, and you develop. People who have diligence, they have an amazing energy. The energy is not so fluffy and so empty. The energy is so inspiring, And bodhisattvas, achieved enlightenment not through their caste, not because they have wealth, not because they put big investment money, because they were diligent. This is why this Tibetan monk practitioner, I think he's Kongpo Ben, a man from Kongpo, and then he went to Lhasa. I think not Kongpo Ben. The Drukpa he's a madman of Bhutan, they call it. He goes to Lhasa, then he sees the big Shakyamuni Buddha. Usually everybody go have some standard prayers that they memorize to do prostration. He wasn't conforming to those standard prayers. He looked at it, then he composed. He spontaneously composed one verse. He says, before you and I was equal. You got enlightenment through your diligence. I, due to my laziness, is still stuck in samsara. Now it's my turn to bow down to you. So he said, "Oh, we were there, like lots of people. Oh, he used to be there. Now he's there. I'm not there." Type of thing. He straight away, very spontaneously, he composed that verse, and he made the prostration. Made the prostration. It's like that. So the difference is where one who's diligent. You can see the diligent person was there. There's a lot of story about how people achieve through diligence. Yeah, the story of Asanga, the famous brother of Vasubandhu. He'd said to have done 4 lots of 3-year retreats. First 3-year retreat, second 3-year retreat, the third 3-year retreat, whatever. Every time he finished 3-year retreat, he was really disappointed. He was really disappointed. But when he was coming out of the cave, he wanted to give up doing anymore. He saw this, because he was doing a cave, it was very perilous to come out of it. But before he just came downhill, he could hear this noise. He looked at it, and just above his cave, there was a little nest, little nest. And near the nest, the rest of the rock was so rough. But at the really place where the dog, so the bird was making a nest, the door was so smooth, smooth. The birds keep going, birds keep going there, because every time they go in and out, the feather touches them. But the whole rough rock has been so smoothened by just accidental bird going in and out. He couldn't believe the rough rock has been smoothed by just the diligent entering and diligent going out of the bird just to make a nest and feed the young. Then later on, so that's one. So then he realized maybe my diligence is not enough. Then he sees another person he held a big iron sort of rod, big rod, maybe a big kind of size of a bamboo or something, and he was rubbing this feather on it. He said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm trying to make a needle." He says he's so diligent to make a needle out of this iron rod by rub these things. He says, maybe my diligence is not good enough, So anyway, to cut the long story short, he thought his diligence was not enough, and he gave up, because his main meditation was to see Maitreya. He was meditating on Maitreya, the Buddha, future Buddha, and the story goes as if he was going to see the Maitreya Buddha, and he was really dead keen to see Maitreya Buddha, to have vision of Maitreya in his meditation. And every time he did the 3-year retreat, just didn't see Maitreya, but he keeps seeing all these people. In the end, then he gave up the idea of seeing Maitreya, but he learned a lot from those people. And while he's wandering down the road, and then he just gave up the idea of doing any more retreat. And then all of a sudden he noticed on the road, and there was this half sort of rotten dog, thousands of maggots infected dog body, but yet half the body is still in one piece, dragging. And then he felt, I've been wasting all this time in the cave. I should have come here and saved this dog, And then he just gave up the idea of seeing Maitreya, but he wanted to do whatever he can to save this dog. Not that looked possible to save, but the suffering of the dog was so horrendous. So he wanted to save. He wanted to stop everything and just want to save the dog. But he couldn't really remove any of the maggots because it was so badly infected. Either they will kill the dog or will hurt the maggots one way or another. So he decided to only way to not harm the maggots but remove them from the infection was to lick the maggots by his own tongue and then move it out. So he unhesitatingly, out of love, Maitreya means love, So he practiced loving kindness to the dog. So that was much better than seeing when he developed unconditional loving kindness and then closed his eyes and then licked it. And then he thought he would be just now, removing maybe at least half a dozen each time. But when he did it, nothing. His emptiness. He couldn't touch nothing. He didn't smell the dog, nothing. When he looked at, there was no sign of dog. There was Maitreya. And he says, what are you doing here? Then the Maitreya, as told, Maitreya said, I've been here all this time with you, but your attachment to see me just hindered me. Right now you practice the real loving kindness. And even seeing me is no important, but to practice loving kindness. What's the point of seeing Maitreya Buddha if you don't practice loving kindness? So practicing loving kindness is really is seeing Maitreya Buddha. And he says, I don't believe this. And then the Maitreya says, if you don't believe me, carry me on your shoulder, tell people what they can see. Then he's a monk, monks carry this dog, and because now he couldn't see the dog, he could see Maitreya, and Maitreya said, "You carry me on your shoulder, and tell people what you can see, go around." So he puts Maitreya on his shoulder, walks in the marketplace, asks everybody, "What can you see? What can you see?" This monk going in the street saying, "What can you see? What can you see?" Everybody said, "What are you talking about? Nothing." Most people can't see nothing, Most people say, oh, there's a mad monk in the town today telling everybody, what can you see, what can you see? Quite an unusual sight, So it became a talking point, Then slowly the word went out to an old woman who had a lot of faith in the Buddha. When she heard that people were ridiculing a monk, telling that he's crazy or wandering in the street telling this, she was really upset because this can't be right. A monk will not do this, So she said, I will go and find out myself. So this old lady with her walking stick slowly come out, and she come out. She looked and she found the monk carrying this dog, whose body is infected by maggots, exactly as his first time. And she said, she thought, she thought that people had a reason why they were laughing at. They were laughing because he wasn't carrying anything. But she saw him at least carrying the dog, which she thought he was trying to be kind to her. But she said, why did you want to carry that? Put it down or something. And then Asanga realized, wow, 3 different perceptions. Ordinary people can see nothing. This devotee, this devout old lady could see the dog, and who's object of compassion and so on, and himself can see Maitreya. So what does this say is, when you practice a lot of diligently, then you will have merit to have pure perception, no deluded perception. Otherwise, even if you Maitreya in front of you, you will not see it at all. Or you will see it as a dog infected with the maggots, So these 3 different perceptions then revealed that's confirmed that, Asanga met Maitreya Buddha, and he received all the 5 teachings, 5 signs of Maitreya. All those 5 teachings heard by Maitreya, because Maitreya taught him. Yeah. So it's all through diligence. through diligence of practicing 12 years, but a little bit distracted, a little bit distracted. But if he didn't do all those 12 years of meditation, I don't think he would even see the dog, let alone that turning into matriarch, you know. So when we practice with diligence, you know, our perception of someone can change totally. Yeah, people can see, everybody is Buddha, they say, but who can see the Buddha in the Buddha, you know? So this is what talking about. Perfection of effort is strongly evident in Bodhisattva on the fourth Bhumi. So that's talking about the and also a person who has practiced the diligence that whatever they do, they will have success. They'll have benefit. They have many ripple effects. Look at the Buddha's enlightenment. It's a ripple effect of benefiting lots of people. It's just non-stop. It's never stopped. Has never stopped, you know. Has never stopped from the Dharma reaching in very far frontier places like Tibet or in Australia. It's relatively looks easy, but I don't know whether it reached there in the early days or not. But, you know, it's reaching, you know. Dharma is reaching everywhere. Because of the Buddha's quality, the merit of the Dharma is so good in spite of all kinds of discrimination and problem. The Dharma's, the merit of the Dharma is so highly revered. Precious is the Dharma. People say Dharma is precious, they say. Why they see that? Because it is realization of Buddha, who no doubt reached fourth Bhumi and fifth Bhumi and so on. So that's talking about the superiority of the merit of the joyous effort earning the stage of the fifth Bhumi, fourth Bhumi rather. And so now the third is showing the etymological explanation of Bhumi through meditational experience. So that is captured in the second verse. Second verse, Tene deshik la dzogba yi, changchub chola gomba leke be, nangwa sangi hebe lagyu shing rang tu tawan te tangde yonsu se. This talking about the Tathagata, or the what we call the Sugatas, who are the followers, who are the disciple of the Enlightened One. Now they are completely directed to enlightenment, you know. If we hear the offsprings of the Tathagata, they have a radiant born from thorough meditation turned towards enlightenment. This thorough meditation turned to enlightenment refers to the one who has accomplished the 37 factors of enlightenment, that there are 37 practices. The 37 factors are like the four mindfulnesses. The four mindfulness of body. In Chandrakirti's commentary, it goes to describe that through the fire, radiance of the fire of pure wisdom, the Bodhisattva will now shine and radiate, because he has realized that all the 37, for some people call it 37 wings or 37 factors of enlightenment. You have to have all the 37 factors present to reach this Bhumi. For instance, first is four mindfulnesses. When we say first mindfulnesses, four mindfulnesses. The four mindfulnesses, mindfulness body, for instance. The one who don't have the mindfulness body, they see them body as them or me or mine. The one who has the mindfulness body, both external body, from the color, from the hair or bodily color, or internal body, such as the tissues, fibers, fluid, hollow part, liquid part, all those things. When you see that, there is nothing substantial that is self, that is the body. So one who is truly mindful has the mindfulness of meditating on the body being not self, or body being a desirable thing, but instead one sees that the body as some composite. Body means composite, transient collection. Instead of coveting and desiring the body, one actually sees the body as almost like undesirable, and therefore not clinging to it as me or the anything, because of the mindfulness body. So external mindfulness body and internal mindfulness body. External mindfulness body is sometimes very deceptive. People paint and make it look as though they are more pleasant than it looks inside, Cosmetic, they call it. So the external mindfulness body could not confuse the mindfulness one who has mindfulness body, because he knows what is inside the body. So inside of the body is hollow and doesn't look solid or strong as it appears outside. So it's a deceptive truth. So it's a deception to look the outside as a real or pleasant or desirable or me. There isn't anything like that. So that's the mindfulness of the practitioners are progressing on the path. They're not held back by the attachment to the body because they are not enslaved by the body. So that's the mindfulness of the body. Second is mindfulness of feeling. The feelings, they see all the mindfulness. They see the feelings as all transient, and not even pleasant feelings are cause of suffering. Neutral feelings are also suffering, let alone unpleasant feelings. All feelings are transient and suffering. But ordinary people who don't have this mindfulness of feeling, they're attached to pleasant feeling, and they have aversion to unpleasant feeling. They get trumpeted or cricketed between these two. These dualistically lose themselves drowned into the feelings. So lack of mindfulness of feeling, they become drowned into the sorrows, or drowned into the pleasures, as if that will last long, and so on. One who has the mindfulness of feeling, see them as a transient and therefore impermanent. So that's mindfulness of body, feeling. Then the mindfulness thoughts. Mindfulness thoughts means people who are mindful of their thoughts, they do not become their thought. They see their thought as like mirages. It looks there, when you check carefully, it's not there. So those who do not have the mindfulness of thought, they become wrapped up in their thoughts. Their own emotion instability just completely wrapped. It's their own thought that is mind, make them see, think. They don't realize that. The one who has mindfulness thought see all thought as illusion, and therefore mirage-like. Yeah, mindfulness of the thought. So meditation is one who's remained in meditation try to achieve this kind of realization, mindfulness of. And then the fourth one is mindfulness of phenomena. This is the object. All the objects of the first three: body, feeling, and thought. All the objects are mindfulness of phenomena. All phenomena lack independent existence. They're just merely imputed and labeled and designated by our own mentation. The thing itself has no label as what it doesn't come with a label, Because when you see a cloth, you say, "Where's the label? Where's the label? What brand is it?" I mean, it fits you, it's okay, but now they're after a brand, See? It's only the label they're buying. They're really not buying clothes to keep them from sun or cold. It's good to go to the op shops and buy really good clothes. Good for your ego and... There's a lot of op shops. There must be. Yes. Jampala and we used to joke and say, you always like to go to op shop, which is really good. As a practitioner of Dharma, we should be simple. We should not waste things. We just buy simple things. They're just almost second-hand. It's almost new. Pretty good. But when people get attached to form and things, that's the thing is the value that the kind of brand people buy, They buy the brand name or the person who designed it. They're buying the name, not the clothes. Clothes is so that is where people get lost, like the butterfly gets so lost. And the moth gets so lost thinking the flame is so beautiful. It doesn't know that it is flame. It thinks it's so beautiful. It's got to go. It doesn't see the flameness of the fire. And it being burned by it. So one who has mindfulness phenomena sees fire as fire. So these 4 mindfulness, very important. First 4. Then 4 types of abandonment. This is called 4 types of abandonment, refers to 4 right effort. We can call them 4 right effort. Means 2 to abandon, 2 to practice, to get rid of existing bad habits. Right effort to get rid of existing bad habits, and the right effort to not introduce any new bad habits. So that's first 2 abandonments, abandoning those 2 bad habits. Then 2 right effort is to adopt. One, to adopt good deeds that one hasn't adopted before. Then one, to promote the good that one has already adopted before. So those are the 4 abandonment. So in this way, the practitioner, according to the 37 factors of enlightenment, your meditation is measured by the quality of which of these 4, which is this first sets of 4 mindfulness, second sets of 4 right effort, and then 4 types of miracles. The 4 types of miracles refers to developing mindfulness of miracle, or mindfulness of an analytical mind. So you develop those 4 types of miraculous legs. So they call for miraculous legs, as if you have found legs, new legs to go, due to the strong determination practice Dharma. That's so that your meditative concentration is so focused, so disciplined. Your determination is, the people who are running, found a new leg, they run fast, isn't it? So that's why called Zuntugi Gangpa. You find a leg of miracle. What's that? Determination. Same with diligence, and same with the right thought, and well as analysis. So there's four legs of miracles, 4 legs of miracles, and then 5 powers and 5 forces. So this 5 powers and 5 forces is exactly the same, like faith and so on, but the former one is slightly lesser than the next one. First 5 powers are overcomes then, and then 7 limbs of enlightenment and 8 4 paths. All together, when it says that meditation turned towards enlightenment. These 37 factors of enlightenment then makes you to go and walk and progress with these 37 factors enlightenment up your sleeves. Their shining light is brighter than the morning's copper glow. The views of self are utterly removed. So that last bit is an analogy highlighting that the copper, if you have a copper roof or copper sort of pinnacle or on the roof, then when the morning sun shines, it really glitters, it brightens, like that. And the quality in the bodhisattva, when he achieves the diligence, is like that. And what does it do? The 4th one is the views of self are utterly removed. Around to means there's hardly any grasping to I as me and self. So the views of self are utterly removed. So the this 4th level of the bodhisattva is that the viewing self with the body and feelings and all of those things would have been now exhausted. He says that the wrong views about self are completely eradicated. Because one knows the body is not self, and it's wrong to think body as self, because body is not self. Because body's got many parts, from head to toe, from body hair to head hair, and so on, and from head dry to wet, and hollow to solid, and skin to marrows. Oh, it's just complete contrast. There's nothing in the body that is identical to that. So therefore, there's no wrong view thinking I am my body, and therefore don't suffer the body. Therefore, they don't have pain as much as they usually. Most people's pain in the body comes from grasping to the body as me and mine. Bodhisattva sitting under the tree or in the cave who has no longer any attachment to the body, but doing the practice for the benefit of all beings, do not suffer as much as they thought the body was them. Even if they have some subtle suffering of change or suffering of all conditioned existence, but they have amazing endurance. They don't complain. They don't moan and groan about the pain they have in the body. They see their suffering is minuscule in comparison to the suffering people are willing to endure just to make a living, And so they develop great, vibrant motivation to face these sufferings for higher purposes. Now self-grasping was already abandoned. Because even in the first Bhumi, there was already the self-grasping was abandoned. So the subtler aspect of grasping and its residues are now removed stage by stage as Bodhisattva progresses and gradually on the fourth to the first to the second to the third, and now to the fourth. And the Bodhisattva on the fourth Bhumi will abandon residues self-grasping. Residues of self-grasping must be indescribable kind of enlightened feeling, radiance, meaning that there's amazing kind of indescribable feeling. During this time, there is no hunger. There's no one would transcend the four elements. Definitely transcend the four elements. So this fourth chapter, which is to do with the practice of diligence, it's only got those two verses. So here, of course, if you look at the Shanti, there was Bodhisattva's way of life. That the chapter on diligence has got about 60 or 70 verses. So Chandrakirti says, two will do. two verses will do on that one. Now, next one is fifth chapter. Fifth chapter is called Unconquerable, meaning it is very difficult to conquer. Difficult to conquer. Janka in Tibetan, Janka means difficult to conquer. It's almost indomitable by others, indomitable by other practitioners. So with the fifth chapter, it is talking about the fifth Bhumi. It's called Unconquerable, meaning difficult to reach that point. Because once you reach fifth, then you move sixth, and from there onwards, it's a totally different peak. It's a peak of realization. Up till then, it's all uphill. Particularly this fifth one is very, very uphill. And this is related with the chapter on meditation, dhyana. Dhyana means mental stabilization achieved through meditation, meditative stabilization. Ten in Tibetan, some means thought, ten means stabilization, thought stabilization. Most people's problem is because their thought is they're at the whim of their own discursive thoughts. They just so easily influence one way or another by their thoughts, and they are not able to pin down their thoughts and try to have some degree of stability and realization. So meditation, because it's difficult to conquer. Because you can't ask other people to help you. If you want somebody to lift this bag or dog or furniture, others can help you. But you can't. Nobody can control your mind. If you can live in that mental garage. If somebody has a garage where they fix your mind, you will put there. But nobody can do it. Nobody has dared to open a shop saying, "I'll fix your mind." So it's cannot be conquered by anybody else but oneself. But what is that one who can conquer? Through mental stabilization, through meditation, through dhyana. So this has three divisions. First is the etymological explanation of the fifth Bhumi. Second is why it's called advanced practice, because all advanced realization comes through meditation, not through just discipline. So the advanced realization comes through meditation. And then the third is then actually presenting other qualities or attributes. First is the etymological explanation of this Bhumi. This only got one verse, so we have to divide that up for these 3 points. So it says, Dani Chedang Chete Dunam Kungi Kyang Jangesala Pempernumayin. The great ones on the ground called hard to keep or hard to achieve cannot be overcome by all the hosts of demons. This talking about the Bodhisattva on the fifth Bhumi, abiding on the fifth Bhumi, cannot be defeated by all the Devaputra Maras in the whole world, in the whole universe. There's so many Devaputra Maras. Devaputra Mara is one of the 4 Maras. There are 4 Maras: Skanda Mara, Klesha Mara, Mritu Mara, and the 4th one is Devaputra Mara. So even if all the Devaputra Mara were to come to compete with the Bodhisattva dwelling on the 5th domain, they can. He is indomitable. He could not be conquered by them. So therefore, how could anybody else? Any kind of other forces, of course, stand no chance to conquer a bodhisattva dwelling on the 5th of me. That's why it's called unconquerable, meaning others couldn't conquer or defeat. So that's why in some Buddhist tradition they will say that when the Buddha, night before he attained enlightenment, we call conquer some Maras. So when night before attained enlightenment, he was attacked by all these Maras. So these Maras are actually Devaputra Maras coming to attack him, bringing the mountains or the rocks or molten bronze pouring over him, hurling many weapons on him, and they couldn't do anything. He's completely unscathed. Instead, everything they hurled towards him turned into flowers and beautiful decorations, free decorations. So that's so there are some Buddhist traditions that say the conquerors of Mara as the 12 great deeds of Buddha is actually conquerors of the Devaputra Maras. So there's a slight difference between Theravada, Maya, and a way of explaining. We wouldn't go in there. Because we're talking about the greatness of how hard it is to conquer, how hard it is to conquer. Therefore, this Bhumi, by etymology, is called difficult to conquer. Difficult to conquer. So that bodhisattvas, the reason the bodhisattva that quality is so difficult to conquer is that bodhisattva's meditation is extraordinary. So that second part is the practice of the meditation of the bodhisattva is perfection of meditation. His meditation is something lacking lo sang den ran xin. He's strong in concentration, excellent mind, in subtle grasp of truth. They have great skill. So what they're talking about is here the practitioner out of the 10 parameters accomplishes the 5th parameter, dhyana parameter, and that dhyana parameter excels all the first 4 parameters. And when it refers to excellent in mind, lo zang, meaning that is the noble mind of the Arya beings. So it is the Arya beings, and these noble beings called Arya mind. They realize the 4 noble truths. There are 16 aspects of the 4 noble truths. They come to realize all of that. Then So when we say people realize 4 noble truths, there's a sort of kind of seminal, small, partial realization of 4 noble truths intellectually, even when we talk about, but actual realization of the 4 noble truths, all the 16 aspects of 4 noble truths occurs during this, and that's why they become the possessor of the excellent mind. The mind is excellent because what they know is very. It says in the subtle grasp of the truth, very detailed, the nature of the phenomena as they are, meaning the truth, noble truth. And the subtle nature of the truth as they become very excel in this. So the subtle nature of the all four noble truths, the truth of suffering, truth of origin, truth of cessation, or truth of path, and or relative truth or ultimate truth. So whether it's ultimate truth or relative truth, all of this, as stated in the sutra meeting between the father and mother, this is Chandrakirti quoting, the fully enlightened one did not listen to anyone, didn't hear this teaching from anyone, but the true truth, that true, the relative and ultimate truth, is the only one that who taught and explained is the one who's omniscient one. One who realized the relative truth and the one who realized the ultimate truth. There's no third truth. There's no third truth. When we're talking about the truth of suffering and truth of origin, we're talking about the result and the cause. Truth of cessation is the result. Truth of path is the cause. So that's a cause and result. Cause and result when we're referring to the Four Noble Truths. Because firstly, we talk about the suffering, which is the result, But we don't want a suffering that the cause of which has already been consummated. So you cannot have the result, the cause already created. It's you ordered already type of thing. So you can't not have the order because you ordered already. So the truth of suffering is the result. And to not have the truth of suffering, you have to know the truth of origin. So truth of origin is the cause of it. Truth of origin is the cause of it. So one has to uncause the suffering by knowing the cause of the true cause of suffering. So the suffering is all impermanent, selfless. And so there are four aspects in each of the four truths. And when we talk about the truth of cessation, then we're talking about the ultimate truth. The true truth of cessation is ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is the way there is the result is the cessation. Result is the cessation, and the path is the cause. Practicing the truth of the path is the cause. So relatively speaking, you have to practice the path. But ultimately, the cessation of the suffering is caused by practicing the path. And therefore, truth of cessation is the ultimate truth. Other than these two concepts of relative and ultimate truth, the Buddha did not teach a third truth, The Four Noble Truth is not contrary to the relative and ultimate truth. Relative and ultimate truth, yeah? When we say that this is the truth of the suffering, when we say truth of suffering, when you see the truth of suffering, there is no suffering. There's no suffering that truly exists. There's only any suffering that is impermanent. And one who don't see the truth of suffering gets the very suffering they don't want because they don't know the cause of it. And because of that, they grasp impermanent suffering as permanent and make the suffering more suffering. The one who sees the suffering as impermanent, the suffering itself is not there to have a quarrel with because he sees the truth of suffering. So therefore, when you're meditating or when you're practicing in meditation, this is supposedly what we have to, even calm abiding or whatever retreat you do, you should have a greater, excellent heights of realization of the truth of suffering, the four aspects of truth of suffering and truth of origin and truth of cessation and truth of path. When you understand all the 16 facets of the Four Noble Truths on one level and another level, they usually become 32. So in this way, one who knows the truth of origin, which is who knows the cause of it, and then also who knows the truth of the cessation. Truth of cessation is, who doesn't want suffering? Nobody wants suffering. But they have to know the truth of origin. If the cause of true origin of suffering is not recognized, they attack non-cause of the origin, non-cause of the suffering, like people or things or like that. They don't realize the suffering comes from self-grasping and affliction, not from people's doing to us. The deluded people try to point finger to each other. You did this to him, he did this to me, and that's where the suffering comes. That actually makes the more suffering, because that is the true origin of suffering is ignorance. And that pointing to somebody as the true origin is the actually false origin. So in meditation, this realization is the true realization. Not just blanking your mind, emptying your mind, chanting some mantras. They look like meditation, but that real meditation is to boost this realization, either through mantra recitation or through silence or whatever one would do. It is to realize the Four Noble Truths. Yeah? Subtle grasp of the truth. This is referring to the subtle grasp of the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths. They have great skill. That this great skill. They're like for instance, the four aspects of the truth of suffering are impermanence of suffering. If you know the impermanence of suffering, then that's the truth of suffering. But most people don't see the truth of suffering. They think the suffering is permanent. They think suffering is there always. And so they quarrel with it, and they do not overcome the suffering because they do not know the impermanence of suffering. If suffering, if it's impermanent, it's necessarily suffering. See, that's the second aspect. And not only is the suffering, but suffering itself is empty. Empty of true existence, because it's impermanent, yeah? And therefore selfless. So there's the four aspects. So in this way, here Khenchen Rinpoche's commentary gives a little bit of rundown on that, but we won't read through all of them because you can do that in your own time. But because it's only one verse. But what is very important is this subtle realization of the true meaning of the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths are realized in meditation. And so realization is seeing the truth, the seer, we call the word seer. The Rishi Muni means the seers, the sages who see. What they see the truth. So it's not seeing Buddhas or gods or heavens or this. Those seeings are very, very mystical and probably only religious ornamentation. But real seeing is the truth of suffering, emptiness of suffering, impermanence of suffering, and so on. And not only that, the very cause of the suffering are not truly existing, not permanently existing. There are causes, but there are many causes. There's no independent, autonomously existing cause. And this is how it culminates to realizing the actual enlightenment, and slowly, stage by stage, the practitioner will progress towards the perfect realization of the truth, seeing the truth as it is. So, therefore, this is the fifth chapter, which is very difficult to conquer. So that's why he decided to just give one verse. Very smart, I think. So now we're going to move into the sixth and most important, most difficult chapter. I don't know why this is not called difficult chapter. Some people study. When they don't have enough time, they receive teaching on the sixth chapter from eminent scholars, and they just get that because that's the most voluminous sort of commentary on it. And the other part, the first 5 chapters, is not hard to grasp intellectually, so you read through that. But of course, that's not a traditional way. So the fifth chapter sixth chapter now is called Approaching. Ngontu meaning it's like you are now almost peaking. You are peaking to realize. You're getting closer. You're getting closer to realize. So the first is cessation is attained due to the superiority of the perfection of wisdom, because this is the perfection of wisdom. Sixth chapter is the Prajnaparamita, or perfection of wisdom. So it is cessation. This is what we're talking about. Cessation is attained through the superiority of perfection wisdom. if you don't realize the sixth parameter, even meditation and all the first five parameters, only method aspect of it. Method aspect is just like limbs and legs and hands and so on. There's the sixth parameter is just like the eye, so that's why it's called. This is most superior of all. So this is, and then the second point is greatness of the perfection wisdom. Third is presentation, how one engages in the perfection wisdom. Fourth is summarizing the attributes attained during this process. That's the overall outline of this chapter. The first is how cessation is attained due to superior perfection of wisdom. This is captured in the first verse. First verse. Nyamsha semnete zobe sangye chola ngun choshin. So this refers to the Bodhisattva dwelling on the fifth Bhumi, which is the Bhumi on the meditation. Because when he has gone through all the subtle nature of the details of the truth of the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truth, as he achieves that, he is now almost dwelling on this, abiding on the meditative state. It's almost like he could now see the dawning of the sixth Bhumi, sixth Bhumi. It's just like seeing the dawn, because right before that it was all dark. In the long meditation on the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truth, the meditator in meditative stabilization and also surveying the nature of everything being interdependently originated. He realized everything is interdependently originated. Very profound. This profound insight of seeing everything is interdependently originated, not truly independently existing. And when the Bodhisattva has this dawning, like early morning dawning, is amazing, isn't it? When you see the dawn, it's such amazing. It was pitch dark, all of a sudden you see everything. So when you see everything, it's called seeing everything. Because it's caused the Bhumi of seeing the suchness of reality as it is, perfection of wisdom. But it is because it's thoroughly pure, one achieves this cessation. It says that on irreversibly advancing, the mind abides in evenness. So the meditator on the fifth Bhumi, mind remains in the evenness, means equilibrium, meditative equilibrium, yamsha, proceeding irreversibly towards the qualities of perfect Buddhahood. Dependent co-arising in its truth lies open, manifests. Now, like the dawning in the morning, you see the mountains and trees and birds and towns and everything. Everything become now unveiled before your naked eyes, that everything is not self-produced or the other produced. Everything is produced interdependently originated, interdependently existing. And one has this amazing, indescribable realization that excels, this wisdom, which is the sixth parameter, excels all the first five. Because later Bhumis all excels those above, So now this being six, all the first five parameters are now become real parameters. Because you realize, when you practice generosity, until then there was a feeling of I'm generous, he's not, type of thing. Now realize my generosity is interdependent originated in his receiving what I gave. And so on, and so on. So there is an equal, even-mindedness that everything is interdependently, co-dependently arising. Nothing is truly existing, even from what I do, let alone whatever it is. Because of that, the Bodhisattva sees everything as a mere reflection of the Dharmata. And he has now he comprehends the Dharmata, meaning suchness, as it is. And the Bodhisattvas, dwelling on the fifth Bhumi, by seeing the dawning of the truth of the path, is now objectifying the truth of the path as it is. And they are now approaching, Now they are directing themselves towards, without any turning away, towards the very state of the Buddhahood. And that's why this is called approaching. Approaching means getting nearer, nearer, and nearer, and getting to reach the actual realization. And that's why it says, I think this is a quotation. Yeah. No, it's not a quotation. It's the second verse, yeah. Second verse goes to say, second verse is going to say the greatness of the perfection of wisdom. Yeah? To say how perfection of wisdom has a greater quality, and to that is explained. Chitar longwe tsokun delauto mingden kiwu chikin dopai yutu tipa teshin deriyang le mingyam yonde lande gyalnyen draw, which a single man endowed with eyes can lead unseeing multitude, meaning multitude of blind, with ease to where they wish to go. And so it is with wisdom here. It takes sightless virtues, guiding them to victories. All the first paramitas, otherwise sightless virtues. They call idiot compassion, idiot generosity, because they're blind. Without wisdom, perfection of wisdom, it's not that people don't practice generosity and selfless work and doing many things, but they don't have the eyes of the wisdom. Then they get fatigued and frustrated because they are attached to what I did. So here, just like a person who has an eye and he's able to guide all the blind people, like the guide as a guide to the blind people. You can see 3 or 4 blind people led by one carer, like that. So one person who can guide without eyes can be, speedily taken from A to B and to the destination. Likewise, all these stranded sentient beings who are all blind, but by acquiring this transcendental wisdom, perfection wisdom, will make all the other practices, generosity and so on, and they will be able to now place themselves onto this sixth Bhumi. So it's talking about how a person with sight can guide the blind people to a place. Likewise, one who understands this teaching of the sixth paramita, referring to perfection of wisdom, how great it is. It's just like someone who may be very able, very tall, very fit, but if he's blind, it's just totally. But as soon as the sight is restored, then he can do everything. It's like that. One who understands the Dharma, and particularly teaching on emptiness, this sixth paramita, then the person will be able to move forward. Why? This bodhisattva now sees everything is interdependent. When he sees the interdependent, he knows what causes what. Well, this results from this cause. And so he says even there is no one cause. There are many different types of causes and conditions, And when you see the ultimate truth of suchness as it is, due to depending on those things, then the problem prior to that was not seeing this for what it is, due to the cataract of grasping, thick cataract, so thick that one could not. It's so thick on the eye that one couldn't see anything. Yeah, so until the cataract-like self-grasping and wrong views are removed, beings always mistakenly see things as impermanent things as permanent, not truly existing, undesirable or desirable, and impermanent as a permanent, and so on. So all these amazing teachings of the Buddha it's like a remover of cataract of this innate wrong view or philosophical wrong view. Some are habitual wrong view. Some are karmic wrong view. So those people who has this good aptitude, who do not doubt about teaching of emptiness, Most people doubt about teaching emptiness. They say it's nihilistic or something, or pessimistic or something. They completely misunderstand. They dismiss that. They don't get it. Even they heard the teaching, they still say it goes above their head, or maybe it goes through their head. They haven't found the eye ointment. They need to get the eye ointment to remove the cataract first. So hearing the teachings on this, on the meaning of emptiness, unmistaken meaning of emptiness, and seeing the truthfulness and usefulness and a liberating benefit. Why we talk about emptiness is so that it heals the sufferings. It makes the sufferings impermanent. It makes you see the impermanence of impermanence and then become free from the suffering. Most people are still thinking they are there 10 years ago. They haven't moved an inch because they're stuck in the past. They think it's the same person, the same thing. That's poor me, they call it. Poor me too, they call it. That's the problem. So this wrong view, thinking is the kind of permanent me suffering as true. But one who know that everything is impermanent, then can remove the cataract. The cataract drops. Those who do the cataract removal, it's a very thin, very small operation. Amazing skill to do that. And simple too. It doesn't take more than 6 minutes. They go Fred Hollow's foundation says. And when the cataract of ignorance removed, then the immaculate sight, beauty of everything gets revealed. Restoring sight is an amazing gift, in a kind of even conventionally speaking. And the Buddha is the seer of how to cause the removing of the cataract of people by in training them intellectually, emotionally, about the interdependent origination of all things. So therefore, the perfection of wisdom, Paramita, particularly in the Dasa Bhumika Sutra, it talks about how the perfection of wisdom, the Bodhisattva, relies on the understanding of the interdependent origination. Knowing the interdependent origination, sees the nature of things being all interdependent origination. And therefore, one follows the scriptural authority of the meaning of the sutras, and one therefore learns to boost and validate the great teachers like the Nagarjuna. So the next verse goes to authenticate and validate who Nagarjuna is. Because remember, at the very beginning of the text, that Chandrakirti is writing this text to elucidate the thought and writings of Nagarjuna. Now this third verse goes to say to validate the personage of Nagarjuna, because Nagarjuna's writing is what he's talking about. So he's going to validate who Nagarjuna is by quoting the sutras. Chandrakirti chezab chö tokpa lungdan shen rikbe yinbe na. So he's talking. So Chandrakirti is saying that he's going to explain the tradition of Nagarjuna's teachings according to the scripture and wisdom, how he realized. This means that just as the bodhisattvas who have seen the truth of reality as it is, and that which is now being elucidated by Nagarjuna, because Nagarjuna knew exactly the scriptural meaning of the sutras and shastras. He therefore comprehended the middle way. Because he realized the middle way, his realization is going to be now elucidated by this writing. Why should you rely on the personage and writings of Nagarjuna? He says, because Nagarjuna is not just a mere historic person, but he himself had been prophesied by the Buddha. Therefore, for me to validate the authenticity and traceability of this teaching to Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna's writing, and the writing of Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna himself been prophesied by Buddha. And so there is actually a quotation in the Lankavatara Sutra. Lankavatara Sutra means, going into the Lanka Sutra. Lanka Sutra means going to the Lanka. Lanka is probably named after Sri Lanka, by the way. It's very good. Lankavatara Sutra means Sutra going to Sri Lanka. Very famous Mahayana Sutra. And it says, Lojo bete yudune gelon palde cherawa teming lushem bebate yoda maybe chonjik pa. He says, in the southern land of Viveta, the glorious bhikkhu, means ordained monk, whose glorious great bhikkhu, whose name starts with Naga, who will destroy the notion of existence and non-existence. Amazing. Very good. He will show my unsurpassable vehicle in this world. Having achieved the first Bhumi, he will go to Sukhavati. So Nagarjuna is prophesied as being a great, and then there's also a great Mahamega Sutra, Mahamega Sutra, great Cloud Sutra. It says, "Oh Ananda, the youth of the Lichavi is the ancient kind of Buddhist clan. All those who will be delighted to see is after 400 years after my passing, there will be a bhikkhu by the name of Naga, and he will greatly advance and flourish my teachings. And having done that, he himself will attain he will in the future become a Tathagata by the name of Tathagata Samyak Sambuddha Buddha Jnana Sambhava." So Nagarjuna has been already prophesied by Buddha that he will become a Tathagata in the future. So not just come to the world and teach these things, but he will be. So this is a very authentic quotation, unmistaken scripture quotation, and his teaching is all about dependent origination. And dependent origination, and that gives the good result to understand the meaning of sutra and tantra, and so this should be taught to the people. This teaching of dependent origination or emptiness should be taught selectively to people who shows the aptitude, who show keenness and faith and devotion to hear about emptiness should be taught emptiness, not to those who rebels, saying it's a nihilism or emptiness or pessimism or whatever. So they should disappear. The people who do not have the aptitude to understand emptiness will misunderstand this, and so that's why they say that teaching of emptiness should not be taught to unripe student or practitioner, because they may treat as nothing and emptiness, nihilism, and they become cause of themselves falling in the lower realms. So therefore, there is a danger of people misinterpreting the teaching of emptiness, and they may criticize that everything do not exist, nothing exists, everything's empty, and therefore dismiss the law of cause and effect, dismiss the existence of this life, former life, and future life, saying that they haven't seen future life, so they can't bother to believe that. It's like saying they don't believe tomorrow, they won't buy grocery for tomorrow. It's ridiculous. Because tomorrow and Sangtang Jiktin Chemani Ngon to Kain Tolmebes, you never know whether tomorrow will come first or life hereafter will come tomorrow. So therefore, instead of working for tomorrow, work for next life. If the sutra says that, one who doubts that obviously is not able to believe. Yeah. So those people who show such inaptitude, of course, they will mistakenly hear these teachings, and it will be cause of demerit. And therefore, those who either show a great aptitude, faith in the Buddha nature, and teaching on the impermanence and emptiness as being very central teachings of the Buddha, not to dismiss and deny existence of things, but to assert things exist, but not the way they appear to us. So it's not denying the existence of things, but refuting the wrong concept of existence. That is independent, that is autonomous, that is unitary, and that is permanent. These kind of wrong views, why we have to do that? Because these are the cause of sufferings. So Buddha's teaching is a medicine to cure these self-sufferings, not to refute others' wrong view because they happen to be other views. It's not to refute anybody who's other. It's just this is the cause of suffering, wrong views. Even our own sufferings are caused by wrong views, not by people, not by things. Our own wrong view. Completely wrong us again and again and again, and not knowing that. Therefore, this teaching of impermanence and emptiness has to be taught. There are many others, he says, however, who has a very, very devoted aptitude. They don't doubt about the teachings of the Buddha. Even their intellectual capacity to know everything detail is not that great, but they have no doubt about the truth, the goodness and truthfulness of teachings of the Buddha. So those people hearing these teachings are good because they are getting familiarized concepts and ideas, and they have merit to have their faith. Merit have faith. Such people should be listeners, should be other suitable candidates to listen because they have faith in the teachings, and so those who have faith are suitable vessels. So this shows how dangerous and tricky it is to teach emptiness. Of course, nobody is fit to teach emptiness, but Nagarjuna. That's what he says. Nagarjuna. He's referring to Nagarjuna wrote this, and he's trying to simplify to understand the thought of Nagarjuna. And Buddha himself said, later on, 400 years, there will be a guy, he will explain you. Even that time he must have said, look, he has already prophesied that there will be someone who will come and explain. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, we say all the great luminaries, they say, oh, he's the elucidator of thought of Nagarjuna. Everybody claims that he's got the real thought of Nagarjuna. Why? Because they're all clinching this very piece of quotation about the authenticity of the Nagarjuna and his writings. Because not everybody could articulate or write, let alone explain the teaching of emptiness. Because the concepts of ideas all has to be based on the Mula Madhyamika, which is the root text, the root verses of the Madhyamika. And because it is Mula Madhyamika is relatively difficult to fathom, so Chandrakirti, knowing that people like his contemporaries, others have interpreted that text a little bit in a not quite right way, therefore he came in and wrote this text in order to help make it easier for people to enter the path. So for these various reasons, and therefore he's going to explain the first is therefore to teach this topic to the suitable listeners. And so it says sosu kiwu tuna tongba ni tune nangdo rabdo gawa yangda yangdo jung rabdo gawa le jung chime miglenshi luji pabudawa yurimba. So beautiful. So what's saying is that there's a bit 6 lines. Those people, so they are one and a half verse. Such people are vessels. Let me read it. Certain simple, ordinary people, when they hear emptiness, will feel a joy that leaps and surges in their hearts. Their eyes will fill with tears. The hairs upon the skin stand up. Such people are the vessels for the teaching. They have the seed of wisdom, perfect Buddhahood. So this means you are predisposing karmic aptitude. But merely hearing these, you not just about blind faith, people have that, but it's really getting a bit of that, saying, wow, if one understands that, this is the pill. This is the pill of all knowledges that can dissolve all the sufferings. And that's why you can have all these do's and don'ts, and don't do these things, don't do these, all these kind of do's and don'ts, dualistic teachings. But wait until you hear the teaching of emptiness, then you realize it will definitely wet your tears, that wet your eyes, and then your hair will stand on end. Then you feel, wow, this teaching will therefore shows the karmic aptitude. Such people are the vessels of the teaching. They have the seed of wisdom, perfect Buddhahood, because you have had karmically predisposed a lot of merit. We were talking about stock of merit. One who hasn't got merit cannot understand emptiness. Full stop. They misinterpret it. They can't even believe in the existence of life after death, for goodness sake. How could they understand emptiness? But those who have faith, even though they don't see the past life or can't remember past life or remember past life or know the future, they have no doubt that there will be tomorrow, there will be a week after, and so on. So they can inferentially establish the truthfulness of the teaching. So much truth in the teachings. It has to be right. Their aptitude is so easy to this, and their therefore heart surges because they have the seed. Therefore, we are the suitable vessel to hear the teaching. There are various type of categories. Yeah, some people who have Mahayana instinct right from the very beginning, and they have done a lot of preliminary practice. They take refuge. They do Vajrasattva. They do general bodhicitta. They believe in all the Mahayana teachings, and for them, they don't really need to know all the rights and wrongs of different schools' views. They just believe in the teachings of emptiness, and they don't need to all the wrong views of different schools. But there will be useful to know that the wrong views of certain schools upon which it is talked about, when the student realizes the sprout is not produced by itself, so it doesn't. So the sprout does not come from the seed. If it does it, you say yes, but by itself. No, see, it doesn't self-produce. So self-production is refuted. But we have this wrong view. Oh, you did it yourself. You did it to me. People often hold that kind of wrong view and then point the finger. They don't realize all the other causes. They don't realize the soil and the moisture and the sun and all those things. So not produced by itself or by other causes. Is it caused by him or her, anything other than that? They think so. No, they are much more than that. Nor by both, meaning even the two doesn't. Even the you and me don't produce a result. It needs many more other causes and conditions. So therefore, neither you are truly existing cause of it, nor I am truly existing cause of it. Give each other a break. That's what makes your tear come. Wow, if I can do that, I can pardon him. I can give myself a little amnesty, and then you cannot practice compassion without understanding emptiness. So that's why this is the sight giver. This understanding of emptiness gives you sight. No without a cause. Yeah, no without a cause. These four extremes. So. These four extremes, self-production, other production, produced by other than, not by both, nor without a cause. These four extreme possibilities has to be discussed. Otherwise, there's no alternative. When these kind of teachings gets to our mind, then we'll gain the realization. Dambe tuengi demba tembar cha means it. So therefore, those who are keen listener to listen about the suchness, and your effort of listening will be fruitful, not fruitless listening. You will have a very fruitful listening. Amazing. What a confidence this says that the person who listened to that they this is the verse number 5. It says that in whom ensuing qualities will come to birth, which means the person who listens to the teaching fathoms the meaning of emptiness, then all the mistaken wrong views will be eliminated, will not be lured or confused in the future. Yeah, and by hearing and heeding to teaching of emptiness, their listening of that will give the qualities of virtue what they heard, and therefore listening and reading about emptiness is like discovering a treasure. Like discovering a treasure, which is then explained in the verse number 6. Embracing perfect ethics, they will constantly abide therein, and give with generosity, compassion, nurturing, will steep themselves in patience with the merits wholly pledged to Buddhahood, that they might bring all wanderers to freedom. So this is talking about the qualities, how the qualities will now progress. Then the person who previously practiced diligence, so means discipline, otherwise there was danger of their discipline causing them to be born in higher realms or wealthy nagas. just become wealthy nagas. Become wealthy nagas. What a waste of that. So all these amazing, wrong, mistaken ascetic practices for self-preservation or thinking ours is the better than yours and we will earn a heaven, that kind of thing. Yes, they will earn a heaven in the Naga realm. One, instead of using such a lowly, unsighted discipline, now the practice of self-discipline becomes a cause of gaining more suitable forms of rebirth, and one will practice generosity. One will practice generosity, such as giving medicine and food and clothes, providing provision to the others. And because of that, their practice of generosity will be to ease the suffering of others, not to make themselves pure or good. So the very purpose is not about self-preservation, but self-liberation. Because of the view of emptiness and compassion together, and their practice of compassion will nurture, and they will go deeper into patience. Patience means unable to be perturbed by harm caused by others. Yeah, so patience doesn't mean lack of harm. In spite of what harm other people causes, you are not perturbed or agitated and retaliatory towards others. And the bodhisattvas delightfully take on the pain caused by others, not as pain caused by others, but to exhaust the very pain one may have caused in the future. With this, they have the vision to endure the hardships for great purpose. So the very omniscience, very merit that wholly achieves the Buddhahood itself, comes from the purity of this practice, self-discipline, generosity, and tolerance, and they all become effortless cause of attaining immeasurable uninterrupted merit of enlightenment. So the root of virtue will, when self become cause of actual enlightenment, they might bring all the wanderers into freedom. Not only themselves as a practitioner, but they will ripen and mature and shift other sentient beings through their dependent origination practices. And without any hesitation or doubt, the bodhisattvas will be very, very devout and very, very optimistic to ripen others into however long it may take towards the path. So with this, therefore, it goes to talk about the merit of listening to the teachings. Zobe, zobe sanje chanju semba namla kubarji sabjin gyaje chula kebe kewe rimgi garabtu gave sane tomjiwe tene tonto nyewe lamde nyembre gi. So they're talking that they will venerate the perfect bodhisattvas and have mastery of ways profound and vast. So this is talking about one who reached the Bhumis and diligently will move forward, and therefore, because they realize the things as they are, and just as it is said in the Dasha Bhumika Sutra, Bodhisattva on the fifth Bhumi, having accomplished all the qualities of Bodhisattva, will now enter into the sixth Bhumi. And when he reaches into the sixth Bhumi, aspire should hearken to this path. So that means they will actually realize 10 equanimities. 10 equanimities. That's Chandrakirti's commentary talk about 10 equanimities. Then 10 equanimities are that all phenomena are signless, equally signless. That's the first one. Second is all phenomena are equally characterless. Second. Third one is all phenomena are equally uncreated. Third, all phenomena are equally unborn, and all phenomena are equally solitary, and all phenomena are primordially pure. Seventh is all phenomena are equally uncontrived. Eighth is all phenomena are equally devoid of adoption, and ninth one is all phenomena equally devoid of rejection. There's no adoption or rejection. Yeah? And therefore, all phenomena are like illusion, like a dream, like a optical illusion, like an echo, like a moon's reflection of water, or one's shadow, or any kind of. Equally, they are mere apparitions. They don't actually exist as they appear. They're mere apparition. So therefore, one realizes the 10 equanimities. One who realizes the nature of all phenomena as it is, and as ultimate realization, the mind of the meditator is very sharp and very concordantly remains patient in accomplishing the bodhisattva's practice of approaching. Yeah? They're approaching to realize the sixth Bhumi. Therefore, the bodhisattva in this case realized the birthlessness of all phenomena. And so in this way, the first 7 verses has now introduced concludes the reiteration of the importance of listening to the teaching on emptiness for those who show great aptitude and faith and belief in the truthfulness of teaching, for they will not mistakenly, wrongly view them, but instead they will take steps to get themselves closer to the realization of the path. So up to that, that's where we have come to. At least we read through it, just a blessing, just for reading is what at least we can do.